Kristen Webb with the Great You Leadership Series, and I'm so excited that you all joined us tonight. I was looking around the city when we talk about networking, right? We think about events and things like that. And there is so much going on in my city alone tonight. So I know where you are. There's potentially people outside. Everybody's outside now, but I'm so glad you all are joining us for Women Leaders Walk the Talk. The reason that I started Women Leaders Walk the Talk is simply to be an additional platform to be able to amplify the voice of women leaders. For obviously biased reasons, I want to support, the voice of women leaders and really help to engage and show different avenues and different backgrounds and voices and ways to improve our leadership. Maybe there's something that you didn't know you were interested in, that you learned through here. Maybe there's something that piques interest, but we're going to always talk women, we're going to talk leadership, and we're going to always talk or highlight a specific area. And so tonight, we get to highlight professional networking, and I'm really excited about it. My quick story on why I think networking is so important, or why I chose to pick this topic. For you all who have been following me, I have now been about 6 months full-time business owner, and I have been able to see very clearly that the reason I have had a lot of the opportunities that have come forth has a lot to do with the networking and the relationships that have come out of those opportunities for me able to build my professional network. And I just thought it was an awesome opportunity to bring on an expert. Yes, I did say expert, but more importantly, a fierce woman leader who truly knows her industry and has so much to offer us tonight, as well as those who will be watching in the future. And if nothing else, you all will want to contact our guest tonight. So with that, let me be quiet and just introduce to many of you the Robin Wilson Tucker with Wilson Consulting. Good evening, Robin.
Good evening. Good evening. I am delighted to be here for this opportunity. Thank you, Kristen. We go back from Leadership Memphis, and I was thinking it was 10 years ago.
Oh
my gosh. It was 2013. I thought about that. 2013.
Oh, wow. So I Leadership Memphis, but I did not go out. I didn't do the timeline. So years, it flies by. It
does.
Awesome.
It really
Good
does.
Deal. I'm so glad we connected then. I'm so elated that we did. So a little bit more about Robin real quick, and you're going to learn more. Her company, Wilson Consulting, is a resource connection. So put that, I'm putting my quotes because I want you all to make sure that you all take that, a resource connection consulting that provides professionals with info and possibilities around professional networking. And so I'm just gracious that she's lending her expertise to us tonight. And again, we're going to talk women leadership and professional networking. So with that, I'm going to be quiet because I want to make sure we really dig deep into this tonight. Tell me, Robin, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Right. So I am a native Arkansan. Even though I have lived in Memphis almost 20 years, I'm a native Arkansan / Memphian. So, but I moved here in 2004 for a job opportunity with Carrier Corporation. And really, my journey as far as networking really started in college. So University of Arkansas was where I went to school. And even back then, I remember making copies of, flyers or copies of articles, copies of, motivational or inspirational things that I would give to people, right? And share information with them. So I was always been very much an avid person to share information. Now we obviously share content since we have social media, but even probably a month ago, I was cleaning out some things and I found a bag that had copies of things that I had held on to that I had given people. So for me, networking and sharing information has been something I've done for a very, very long time. I believe there is power in connection. I believe that there is power in building authentic relationships. And so I've always been very avid. I've always been a very social person, extrovert, love meeting new people, engaging, learning, sharing knowledge. And really, this has always been a passion and love for me. Now, my degree and my profession has always been surrounded around industrial engineering, manufacturing, process improvement, et cetera. And that's what I've done, for many years. However, my passion has been really connecting people with possibilities, sharing information on both, live in person, of course, and also via social media, really taking it to the next level. So it's really been a passion of mine. And anybody that knows me knows that I am an avid networker. Some people have asked me, when do you sleep? Because I always see you doing this and doing that. You're
Yes.
always on the go, but I'm very intentional. There's a method to the madness on what I do and how I interact and engage with people on various levels. So I'm married. I have 4 grown children, 4 grandbabies, and a host of friends. I have 3 nieces that are like my daughters. They're like my children. And so yeah, family is very important to me. Relationships are very important to me. And how you build them really shows, the measure of success that you have in life.
I love layers are going to peel back tonight. I'm so excited about that. And I'm getting a message on my computer that says my connection is unstable. So hopefully I'm still here, but thank you for sharing just a little bit about yourself. So I want to tap into the chat. We have people join with us. Good evening for those who have joined us. You got a family member in here, Angela Ware from Hughes, Arkansas. She wanted to make sure she shouted out Arkansas. I always say you all are our neighbors.
Yes.
We're cousins. So if you're in Arkansas, you are a cousin to Memphis for sure, because I can come see y'all just, in a drop of a dime, just like that. But really, really good stuff that you shared just off the top, and hearing even just the journey of your networking, right? You talked about, you started out just, sharing information by copies, right? By just sending out flyers. And you're right. Just thinking back, being in an office space, I always have enjoyed the camaraderie amongst like team members when they bring things that, motivate you and inspire you for the day.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I put on my wall, and I'm sure that's what I'm picturing, or I shouldn't say I'm sure, but that's what I'm picturing you doing at that time, and then being able to build onto that. And I absolutely say you are walking the talk. This is Women Leaders Walk the Talk, and you absolutely are walking the talk when it comes to networking and being intentional about it. So thank you for that. So because this is also Women Leaders Walk the Talk, I want to make sure we tap into leadership. And so second question this time, but if you had to describe leadership in one word, I'm gonna say it again, one word, what would you describe it as?
Leadership to me is being a servant.
Mm.
So servant leadership, I've had people ask me, or if I had a question to answer, how would I describe my leadership style? For me, it would be a servant leader. Every organization that I've been a part of, have been in, associated myself with, I always go in a servant capacity. Even if I am the president, if I've been a president, if I'm on the board, I always go in, and that's just me. I go in with a servant's heart, looking to see what I can do to make the organization better, how I can make an impact, how I can pour into the individuals to whom I'm serving. So that is what I define as leadership.
And, I'm all over servant leadership. It's my fourth pillar that I live by when it comes to leadership. You have to be willing, to take on that honor, I'd even say, to be a leader and to be able to be a servant leader is an honor. Real quick, how do you tie servant leadership and that love for serving others into networking? Do they correlate to you? And if so, how? And if not, how?
Yes, for me, it's a major correlation, because when you are building authentic relationships, and we know that some people are in network situations because they're trying to maybe get a number, how many contacts can I make, instead of making real connections. And when you make real connections with people, you understand, or allows you to understand, where they are, what they really need. How can you add value to them in this relationship? It's not just about what they can give you, but how can you help them? How can you help each other, right? How can it be reciprocated? So it's really more than just collecting business cards or seeing how many people you can connect with on a particular platform, but it's really about making authentic relationships or building authentic relationships.
Ooh, you just gave me a lot. So I need for the group, I need everybody who's in the comments right now to throw in their servant leadership. I think that was really, really important. I want to make sure we capture that tonight. Reciprocity or reciprocate, however you want to put the
Yes.
word. Reciprocity is so important because it truly is not, it should not be a one-way street when we talk about intentional networking. And it absolutely, the one that really got me was it has to be authentic.
Yes.
It's easy to get into a game. That's what I wrote down when you said of the numbers. Like it's easy to find yourself moving into that space.
Yes.
But if you're really honest about the sustainability of most of those relationships, it's not a game, and it's when you're being authentic, and those are the ones that really I feel like flourish, those relationships and those networks.
They do, because people
yeah.
know when you're fake, right? People can sense when you're not genuine.
Yeah.
And it's a real turnoff, right? They know if you're not paying attention to them. They know if you're not listening with purpose or intent. And they know when you're brushing them off, right? Even in your written communication or email or a note, it can come across that way. There's, it's
tell me something I would say in the email that give that away. Tell me. I feel a little
if you write an email in all caps, that's a certain tone.
Okay. I hadn't done that one in a long time. Okay. I learned that one.
For example,
for example.
As an example, right? And when I talk to my clients about networking, even, whether it's in person, even whether it's an in-person gathering or virtual gathering, they're trying to reach out, I give them examples and tell them how to reach out to people, even in an email that's very authentic and real, because people do business with or form relationships with people they know, like, and trust, period. You think about the places where you go, people that you really do business with or companies that you do business with, they've established some type of foundation of where you know them, you like them, and you trust them, or you trust their brand or what their brand means, right? Even in the same way with the relationships, for me to form a relationship with you, there's something about you that I know, like, or trust at whatever level, professional or personal. And so, when you think about that, people know, even in an email. And in fact, I'm big on continuous education and learning. So I'm always, intentional about learning something more about LinkedIn or other platforms, really every week I take time for that. And one of the things that I learned today, or was really reiterated today, is when you send a note or a message to someone you don't know, how do you do that without sounding robotic or spammy? If it's somebody, somebody that you may have a mutual connection with or not, how can you address them and sound and be authentic without them saying, "Oh, this is creepy" or whatever? So there are tips and techniques that you can approach anyone when you're trying to build something. And if it's somebody that you don't know directly, but maybe somebody else knows, there's ways that you can engage with, maybe an introduction or a soft introduction or something like that to help break the ice, and then go from there. But most people, what I have found in building a relationship, especially with somebody they may not know directly, people love to talk about themselves, believe it or not. They do. They love to talk about themselves, and everybody has 15 minutes within their week that they can chat and give you, 2 or 3 nuggets or bullet points. 15 minutes, that's it. And if you ask them for 15 minutes, they'll give it to you. You may say no, yes, they will. Because 15 minutes is not a lot of time.
No.
And it's enough time for a brief conversation that would segue into maybe a lunch or a coffee or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I
So you have
love
to be
that. The
very
reason
intentional.
I was hyping you up because even in my workshops that I conduct, the moment, or even just in settings like this, if I'm doing something virtually with a group, but the moment you give people an opportunity to introduce themselves, or, you know, just have an opportunity to speak to themselves and use their voice, like they, even if they're an introvert, they want to, you know, they may even want to do it. Even if they don't, you know, there's an interest in being able to share more about yourself that people like. And some people take it to the extreme. You got different spectrums, you know, ends of the spectrum. I love that. I love that. So we talked about, you kind of told us what professional networking was, but like, what should I, or what are the benefits I should be looking for? And, you know, maybe not Kristen, but for some of our listeners, what are some of the benefits that I should be looking for in professional networking?
So there are several things, but I'll just touch on probably the three biggest things.
Okay.
Building a network definitely increases your visibility from a career standpoint. And I listened to you yesterday, so I am stealing shamelessly to what I already agreed on.
It's not a steal because look, it is what it is. It's not a steal.
Yeah. So really,
yeah.
So building your network helps you from a career standpoint. I read a stat that said 85% of the time when you network, 85% of the time that you network, that is a segue to some type of opportunity, whether it's a business opportunity, a career opportunity. That 85% is like, you know, you're more likely to engage on an opportunity than just, you know, maybe applying for something blindly or something like that. So there's definitely advantage from a career standpoint, and I'll say / business, right? Because again, if you're in business, you're trying to gain new clients. Again, remember I said people do business with or build relationships with who they know, like, and trust. Right. So there's that aspect. Also, one thing that professional networking does, or networking in general does, it helps increase your self-worth and self-confidence. So if you are, and I get this all the time, if you are an extrovert, then, you know, this is all you're all loving it. But let's say you're not. Maybe you're an introvert. And, you know, I've talked to several people that are like, Robin, I really don't like going to places. I'm not really a people person. But you're trying to get a new job, or you're trying to go to that next level in your business, or whatever that is. You have to extend yourself to a point. I'm not saying to the point where it's uncomfortable, but you have to be very intentional about being in spaces where you're going to be able to grow. For your business or for your career. So maybe you don't attend every event that's, you know, this week in Memphis, but maybe you're an accountant and you want, and there's a professional accounting group meeting this week, or NABA, the Black accountants. Maybe you want to attend that. You don't, I'm not saying attend everything, but maybe you just want to look at those things in your profession that might serve you. But now, I will say this. Now, if you're just a hermit type person, don't want
we got
anything, there's not much I can help you with, like LinkedIn.
I'm getting a disconnect. Looks like I have a pause on my end. Let's see. Well, it looks like we have a freeze going on here. And she has logged off. All right, so we're going to keep going, but I agree with her. She's reconnecting, so we're going to give her a few minutes. But what she was sharing with us, that definitely career opportunities. So make sure you put in the chat, one of the benefits Robin shared with us was to make sure that you can find those opportunities, and not just career, she said, but also in business, because even in our entrepreneurial or business owner spaces, we still need to be networking to not just find customers, but also to find resources and people in the space that we're in that can help us continue to grow as business owners. So I thought that was a very, very good point. And then the second one that she brought up, and you all know if you've been following me for a while, that self-confidence is so critical and so important to be able to do anything in life, but more related to what we're talking about. It's important to make sure that we are being confident and in our networking. So that networking allows us to be confident in our careers, our businesses, our relationships, because that self-confidence helps to give us the insight that we need in that moment. So I'm gonna take a second and read the chat. See, Alicia, she said networking to gain new resources. Absolutely, that's another one. You want to make sure that you are always growing, and to be able to do that, you need tools, you need resources, you need new information to be able to really hone in on new opportunities and to move forward. So definitely you find those resources in networking. I think we got her back. Hey, Robin. Hey, Robin. Looks like she is on. Look, I was over here free flowing. That's my remix. I hope I was holding it down just a little bit, but Alicia was
listen, I have my phone on so I can hear everything. And it's weird because, first your bandwidth was low and then I got the message, mine was low. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, we're going to keep moving.
This is technology, but we're going to keep it going. So you were on your second one. We were talking about confidence. I don't know if you want to go there or go to your third, whichever one, but you were giving us the benefits that we should be looking for in.
Yeah, I was saying that it helps build your self-worth and self-confidence, right? When you put yourself in those situations, networking situations, it allows you to know how to, communicate with people. Mm-hmm. It helps build your confidence in communication, in meeting people. And, unless you just work in a vacuum and not get out or whatever, then you're going to have interaction with people, all different kind of settings. So that it helps boost you in that way. The third thing that networking does, it helps to build authentic relationships. So when you talk about building your network, right? It goes beyond just, for your career, what it can do, but really building authentic relationships that can last, a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And also building that trust. Remember, I tell you, people do business with or connect with people they know, like, and trust. So the third thing with relationships is really a offshoot from, when you're looking at it from a career standpoint. What are you really building? Are you building just to say, I know, 5,000 people because I follow them or connect with them? Or can you say, well, really, there are really 100 people that I can say, or 50 people or whatever that number is that I can truly say are my real network. Or even narrow it down even more, my inner circle of, or however you want to say it. So, really networking, there's so many reasons that, for networks are important. For a business owner, if you're in business, it's your survival. I always say it's the unwritten rule of business to develop a network. Mm-hmm. You can't thrive or survive without it, without building that relationship with clients, with customers. Mm-hmm. If you are working professionally, if you're trying to get promoted, if you're trying to advance, you have to build those relationships, because one thing about it, you want your name mentioned in rooms that you're not in, whether it's, business or personal, and people are watching you. Mm-hmm. On all accounts, whether you're in person or virtual. They're looking to see what you're doing. They're looking to see what kind of value you can add to their lives, to their business, to their company. So it's very important. And that you present yourself in such a way that, that exudes that.
Yeah, you made me think about, we're always interviewing. whether we think we are or not. And we're doing that.
Exactly.
We should be doing that in a networking space, as we speak to this topic tonight. But then if y'all could drop in the chat, because all eyes really are on you, right? Not in a narcissistic way. No, you're not on everybody's mind. But when we are in spaces, you are presenting yourself, you are branding yourself, and people are identifying you, and they are placing, skills and abilities and their own opinions and thoughts and facts that are tied to you. And they're trying to identify where is the value and how can they utilize it, or how can they help nurture it even sometimes, right? So one thing I'm thinking about, I just love to know if there was somebody that we could model networking off of. So I think more so, what is an example of a successful know of who attributes maybe their success to networking? Like, we know networking has been one of their cornerstones to support their leadership.
Right. So one person I really love to follow, and two people actually that I really love to follow, and they both have two different styles of how they do things, from a I guess famous or infamous, depending on how you think of it, standpoint. One is Robert Kiyosaki. He is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He talks a lot about networking and the value of building your network in a lot of his books, right, that he has. He obviously has built an empire on the things and values and things that he is passionate about. But he also talks about the power of networking and, building strong teams. The other person I love to follow and more on social media is Gary Vee. Gary Vee, and his last name is like Vandercheck or something. It's I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it right, but if you just Google Gary Vee, V as in violin, he is a very outspoken, kind of non-traditional business guy, kind of the opposite of Robert Kiyosaki, but just pretty, straight. He's a straight shooter.
Okay.
But I like him because he kind of tells it like it is, very much a networker, but he's a very caring person as well. So he has that kind of rough side, but he's also a servant leader at heart. And if you follow him on any of his platforms, whether it's LinkedIn or I think, his YouTube or whatever, you'll find that he has an interesting perspective about how you treat people, how you do business. And so I really like looking at some of his stuff. Gary Vee and Robert Kiyosaki.
Robert Kiyosaki and Gary Vee. Those are two resources to go check out if you want to model, right? Because there are other models that I'm sure you all can put in the chat. You all throw in the chat if you want to. Successful leaders that networking has been a cornerstone to help them be successful in their space. But what I really love about why you even chose those two was it goes back to your initial thread of servant leadership, right?
Yes.
And that's why I always like to ask that question at the beginning, because it typically it resonates and truly is our core of how we consider leadership and how we want to show up, even if we do or don't get it right all the time. But servant leadership is so important. So thank you for that.
Let me add real quick. Let me add one more thing to that. Also, I want to say that success leaves clues. Success leaves clues.
Come on, give me context. Success.
And yeah, so if there, then this is kind of like a blanket general statement. So if you see someone doing something you want to do, right? That's an industry leader, let's say they are the best in computer programming, and you're programming, and you're like, oh, I want to be the best in this. Or if you are in business and you offering a product or service, let's say you are big on leadership. Who are some of the folks that are big on leadership? Like the John Maxwell's or whatever. So I tell folks, if you are striving to be the expert in your area or field, study those that have already been successful. What are they doing? How are they modeling the things that you want to convey to your audience? The same thing if, with engineering, if I wanted to look at, industrial engineers that were very successful in what they did, I would want to mimic or model them. So success leaves clues. So, keep it in mind when you're networking with folks, who are the folks that will bring value to you, right?
Mhm.
Who are the folks that you can glean from, but then you can also offer something to them as well. If they have things that you aspire, characteristics that you aspire to
Yeah.
have.
Alicia said what I wanted to say. That was like powerful. When you said, I was like, okay, hold up. I need to know more, right? Success leaves clues. And then you came back and your explanation was for real a strategy. One thing I always say, and I think I said it in one of the earlier pitches for tonight's show, like we should honestly be making sure that that we're making the connections with the strategy. Like that's good. We come on here and have a great time and hear information, but I want everyone who watches to take a strategy with them and something that they can implement and execute. And you just went from identifying or assessing people that are doing what you would like to do or what you're striving to do, not necessarily want to do it exactly, but they're in your lane. And then how you strategically go and find those said individuals and create a network, right? But you have to be intentional, and it's not necessarily, maybe you won't get a chance to walk directly up to Michael or Stephen Covey, right? But maybe, finding yourself being a part of that program in some kind of way, open additional doors. So I love the strategy. I hope y'all heard that. Put that in the chat. Success leaves clues and strategy. So I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about tools right quick. Because one thing you said earlier, and I'll be honest, when I think networking, and I think this may be the same for most people, when I think networking, I'm thinking I've got to open my mouth and say something to someone. I've got to stand in front of them at an event, whether it's a conference, whether it's, at an actual networking event. I did a speed networking not too long ago. It was really cool, but I think of that usually. I don't think about writing. When you were talking about emailing, like when we're emailing and what we're putting in that email, we are still networking with individuals because we are still building relationships. We're still identifying resources. So I love that, you show the expansion of networking is not just when you show up in front of people. And so with that, let's talk about tools, right? Let's talk about platform, because also when we think about networking, we're like, oh, I got to get on somebody's Facebook. I got to get on somebody's LinkedIn, somebody's web of something. But let's talk about that. How do we leverage those tools effectively? Let me say that, effectively leverage those tools so that we enhance our professional networking. And I'm going to be quiet and let you take us on a journey on tools. Yes.
So, of course, I'm a huge advocate for LinkedIn. That is the main platform. That is what I use for my business when I'm talking with clients. For me, if you're a business professional or entrepreneur, LinkedIn is the place for you to be. Now, let me just preface and put a pin right there. If you have a business, product or service that you sell, you should also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, depending on especially if it's a product where you can gain some traction. Okay. So I'm on all the platforms. Okay. So, however, you have to know who your client is and your client base and what your niche is. So clearly, if you have a service-oriented business, in all likelihood, probably LinkedIn is going to be, depending on the service, going to be more of where your business may lie, okay, and maybe Facebook. But if you're a retail product, depending on what it is, you definitely want to make sure you're on Facebook and Instagram, because those are very retail product-driven sites, okay? So I think it depends. However, from a professional networking standpoint, I will say business professional, that LinkedIn is going to be the platform, the main platform. There are some others, I'll mention those, but it's going to be the main platform. It is the largest professional networking platform site that they have. There's over 900 million people on LinkedIn all over the world. However, only 1% of that 900 million are posting on LinkedIn on a weekly basis.
So everybody else
1%.
Everybody else
everybody's just on there got an account. So if you are posting at least once a week on LinkedIn,
Wow.
you are part of that elite 1%. Is that crazy?
That is.
So you have an opportunity as either a business professional or an entrepreneur, post something once a week, something.
Mm-hmm.
I tell clients they need to be on there at least, especially if they're looking for a job, they need to be on there every day, at least 2 or 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
But the algorithm behind LinkedIn works a lot like Facebook. The more you comment, post, like, and share, increases your visibility on your to the folks you're connected with, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know that algorithm. There's a method behind getting those numbers up, your visibility numbers, but that's important. There are some other platforms for networking. Obviously, if you can network on Facebook and Instagram, to me, those are more socially driven, unless you have a business page. But I think more of a social aspect and a professional aspect on those, unless you have a business page. But also there's Alignable. Alignable is something that's has resurfaced here within the past couple of years. It was actually formed in 2014. And Alignable is it's likened to LinkedIn locally.
Okay.
So it's mainly for business owners. There's no job boards or job search on Alignable. So if you're an entrepreneur, Alignable is good to know who you can connect with locally. From that standpoint, you can recommend, you can refer on Alignable.
Okay.
And so Alignable is a platform. Meetup is another platform for networking. Meetup is mainly a platform that has a lot of events and groups on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, if you're looking for folks that like to be in book clubs locally, you can find out what are the book clubs here in Memphis. Or, if you're into, animals or dog walkers, who are the dog walking groups, events. So it's more of an event, local event, different from Eventbrite.
Okay.
But it's more of a group-driven local event space.
And I like that. Sometimes some when we even think about LinkedIn, of course you got your local folks on there, but you have people that are all over the world, as you stated.
Right.
So to know that I can kind of find a niche and say, okay, who's specifically in my backyard in this specific area? And this isn't, I don't even think this is us like promoting these specific platforms, any of them. The whole point is that there are tools out there. And what's interesting is that you shared 2 more that I knew nothing about today. so now I got a list of 5, and then if I put TikTok on there, 6. And that's
And now I will say TikTok. Now I just got into TikTok this past probably last year when I actually got a TikTok account. So I do use TikTok. I do post. I don't have a business TikTok, but I have a TikTok where I'll post things about the business. Mm-hmm. And with TikTok, it's really about how often you post content. Mm-hmm. That's really what drives that algorithm is how much you post, and you got to keep posting to keep your algorithm up. Right, with TikTok. So,
but I like that because even with TikTok, you can create a network. And I can say when I utilize TikTok, sometimes I may post things specifically, like even about women leaders walk the talk. And there may be somebody on tonight because they saw that on TikTok, right? Even if I just did a talk on it. So definitely another avenue. So what else? What else you got for us on social medias?
So you got, I want to say X, formerly known as Twitter. You have that as well.
Yeah.
So I do have I guess I'd say an X account, or formerly known as whatever, Twitter formerly known as. I do have that. And I will post to that. I used to be able to post directly through Instagram to X or Twitter, but I don't have that capability anymore. But I also have that platform now with Twitter. Again, you have to tweet a lot to get, the visibility and all of that. So I don't really do that as much, but that is definitely a way to build a network of all kinds of individuals and entities, right? So that is a way to do that.
So what would you recommend for the person? Because you talked about introverts, or you talked about, you use the word hermit, or someone who just really isn't into social media.
Mhm.
What do you say to those people so they're not overwhelmed? Because honestly, it is, I'm not going to say you can't network without it, but it is a strong
Right.
way to improve your professional networking. So what would you say for an approach for that person that just is kind of like really shy about social media platforms?
So I would, if they don't, for especially if they don't want to, if they're not I say a people person as far as going, doing a lot of in-person things,
Mhm.
I would suggest choose one platform.
Okay.
If they want to build a network, but they don't want to feel overwhelmed with being on everything, choose one.
Mhm.
Whatever one best serves you,
Right.
right? Choose one. And
Mhm.
with that one, just start to slowly build. What I have found that a lot of folks that are not on social media a lot, they don't have a huge network, and maybe that's not what you want. But maybe you have 20 people, but maybe the 20 people that you have, you're
Mhm.
very intentional about connecting with,
Correct. Correct.
because some people just don't connect with everyone, and that's fine. But the 20 people you do have, you want to make sure, or 10 or whatever that number is, that you are authentic with them, but at least choose one
Yeah.
so that you can at least stay relevant, especially if you are if you have aspirations to do things within your company or your business, choose one.
So I'm gonna tell our audience tonight, put in the chat, choose one. And then I also want to hear from you all. Tell us what social media platform is your go-to. What is your go-to when we talk about professional networking? Because she just shared with us, Robin just shared with us that depending on who your audience is, you may use a different platform, or you may do a hybrid or a mix of, different ones. So put in the chat, what is your go-to professional networking social media? And also put in there, choose one, because you got to choose one. Just choose one that you feel comfortable with, that really works for you. And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised with some intentionality, how it honestly can add value to
Mhm.
your, not even just professional networking, to your life, okay, to your entire life. So I got a scenario for you. Here's a scenario. Let me see.
Okay.
Alicia said her go-to is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my fave, or my go-to for professional networking. But she also said I should use TikTok more. And TikTok takes some work,
It does
but
take some work.
I enjoy the fruit of it when I do it. Right, it's fun to look back at it, just for my own personal interest. It's fun to look at them. Go back and look at them, but also I really do find an opportunity to engage and network. So here's my scenario. All right, so I meet someone, okay? We
Mhm.
network, I'm at an event, everything's going great. We exchange numbers. I pull out my electronic business card, we make it happen. Then I send a follow-up email when I get back to the office the next day, and it's crickets. What do I do? What do I do?
So there's a couple of things. Now, of course, well, let me just say this. So you connect with them, you send them an email, right? I would
Mhm.
suggest also connecting with them on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if in your email, if you're asking them, maybe as a follow-up, asking them for a 15-minute meeting,
You're
or
right.
a
We
phone.
want to do lunch. We want to do lunch. Mhm.
Oh, uh-huh. Or do you have a 15-minute, can we chat for 15 minutes? Because some people may not want to just have lunch off the bat,
Mhm.
but maybe do you have time for a quick Zoom, a 15-minute Zoom?
Okay.
Offer the Zoom first. Extend yourself to offer the Zoom. Again, most people have 15 minutes in a week, within their week, they can, and if you still don't hear anything as a follow-up to that, if you still don't hear anything, then I wouldn't give up. I'd wait a week.
A week.
I'd
Okay.
wait a week. I would wait a week or so and reach out again, because I know people get busy. Sometimes they miss emails,
Uh-huh.
right? Sometimes they may be on your business trips or whatever. Give them
Mhm.
some time to read their email. And so I would say two follow-ups. If you don't hear anything after two follow-ups, I would say let it go.
Okay. And I love that.
Mhm.
Shout out to my business mentor. I'm not going to say his name because he'll probably beat me up, but he is always stressing to me about following up. And
Oh, it's
whether,
critical.
I mean, it is so critical. And I
It's
honestly,
critical.
I see the difference when I do and when I don't, right? And at
Hmm.
the end of the day, sometimes we don't like to follow up because I think it often is tied to rejection,
Yes.
or maybe assuming other things, other than maybe they really are just on a business trip or they just missed it because they had so many emails.
Hmm.
Or just life is life and all the time. Y'all put that in the chat. Life be life, and I think that's how I'm supposed to say it. Life be life, and so put
Yes.
that in the chat. And so when we talk about follow-ups, that is a part of networking. You've got to be intentional, and that means even going after. You talked about that at the top of the session, how we really
Yes.
have to not wait for things to land at our feet, and actually go after it. So we're at 15 at the hour, and I want to make sure that we get the rest of what we got, some good stuff in, so I can learn more about so we can learn more about Robin and how we can connect with her. But before we do that, I want to have just a little fun. So are you ready? I'm going to play this or that. Have you ever heard of this or that, Robin?
Yes.
Good, good, good. So I did still tie this one to professional networking a little bit, but we're gonna have some fun.
Okay.
But I'm gonna do rapid fire. So that means just first thing that comes to mind. You ready?
Uh-huh.
All right. Email or phone call for an initial contact.
Oh, that's a hard one, Kristen.
Okay, I'm going to the next.
Email.
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 Okay, email. And you all answer in the chat what your this or that would be too. So the next one is LinkedIn or Twitter for professional networking.
LinkedIn.
All right. Business casual or business formal attire.
Business casual.
All right. LinkedIn endorsements or recommendations.
Recommendations.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Coffee meeting or lunch meeting.
Coffee meeting.
Solo entrepreneurship or team collaboration.
Team collaboration.
Online webinars or in-person workshop.
In person.
Business card exchange or digital contact sharing.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Can't say both.
You can say both. You can say both.
What if you have both?
Okay, you could be a rebel. I've had
think-
many rebels on here. Yeah.
Yeah, I do both. I have digital and the business. Some people like to actually have something in their hand. So
Absolutely. I have learned that I need to have both available.
yes.
Because again, back to your point about the audience thing, depending on the audience, I know when I work with certain groups, no, give me paper. I want paper. Okay. I need paper if you want
Yes.
to contact you. I've had people pull out notebooks to write down my information. And
Yeah.
so you want to make sure you have it available for everyone. And on the digital side, sometimes technology is not my friend, right? You could be in a room and the technology won't allow for the signal to go through. So
Exactly.
yeah, and I know we kind of got off a little bit, but I'm gonna go with this one: public speaking or writing articles for being a thought leader.
Ooh, public speaking.
Okay, absolutely, I love it. I love it. Okay, in-person meeting or video conference.
In-person meeting.
Okay,
Preferably.
I'm all about the in-person. So I'm gonna read some that we got in the chat. Thank you, Alicia. We got phone call, LinkedIn, business attire, coffee meeting, team collaboration, and in-person versus the virtual speaking. So I love to play this or that. Thank you for playing this or that with me, Robin.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that.
I just think it gives us a chance.
I may have to use that in a presentation.
And you should, because I did not make that up on my own. Okay. I did. Someone shared that with me, and I've just been lucky enough to do it every time I do this, and it's always fun.
Awesome.
And I like that it kind of brings us away just a little bit from the topic, and we get to see even just more of our guests. And today we got to see more of you, Robin. So thank you for playing. And with that, me and Robin best friends. Just so y'all know, everybody who comes on the show, we become best friends afterwards. No arguments, okay? No arguments, but no, we've been friends and been colleagues for a while now. But even though I can directly contact you, I want us to make sure that we are supporting what your initiatives are, your company, any services, or just we want to learn more. We want to follow you. We want to network with you more. So tell us, and we'll put it in the chat as well, how we can connect and anything else you want to share.
Sure. So, would it be good for me to share a page that has all that on there? Or how do you want to, what do you?
So you could just tell us your handle. And then if you want to just kind of tell us what your services are and tell us your website if you have anything like that. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So I'm on Facebook. For my company is Wilson Consulting LLC on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson Consulting LLC on Facebook. On LinkedIn, it's Wilson Consulting LLC on LinkedIn. The website is Wilson Consulting LLC.info is the website. And I'm on Instagram as Wilson Consults. Wilson_consult LLC. If that's helpful.
Absolutely.
And I can also.
It's in the chat. It's in the comments. They're gonna always.
Oh, you already put it in the chat. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, you're quick.
Look, I try to be. I tell you, it's
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Got you in there. So I want to make sure everybody, you all go out and connect with Robin. But is there anything, if you had to share one last thing, one nugget, if we didn't walk away with anything else, and if you all are anything like me, I have, and this is like, yeah, I got 4 pages here in my notebook of notes. Just good stuff for me to follow back up on. What should we walk away with, Robin?
So when you're networking, when you're building your network, the main thing I would say is be authentic when you're building. Be authentic and be intentional. People know when you're genuine, and be intentional about those that you connect with, because you're building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be transactional. It's not about numbers, but it's really about building authentic relationships. Up or down. When I say up or down, I mean with those that are from a professional level that you aspire to be in that type of position, or maybe somebody you're mentoring. Okay, it can work both ways. But in either case, really learn to build those authentic relationships. Be very intentional. I would even start with making a list, just a basic list of those that you really want to connect with because they're in your industry, maybe the industry or something you want to be in, right? And why you want to connect with them, and your why. Why do you want to connect with that person? That's important as well.
And what I took and what I really appreciate is that you said write it down, because if you don't,
Yes.
I mean, you can have it swim here forever. You can say it out loud, and it's all great. But there is absolute magic, or not even that. Write the vision and make it plain, right? So writing,
yes, absolutely.
Writing it down truly does give you a different sense of focus, right, on how you approach your goals, and it keeps you centered and aligned. So the idea that we can create a strategy to write down who it is we're going after, that probably is not something most people do. And I'll be honest, other than like this show, I know when I think about, who I want to have on the show, I make a list, right? I may come up with a list. I want to go after this person, but do we do that in our everyday lives to enhance our networks? And so I love that you pointed that out, and just thank you. Thank you for being on. If you all definitely want to continue to follow, because you do, I'm not even gonna say if you do want to continue to follow Women Leaders Walk the Talk, hosted by the Grady Youth Leadership Series, which is an organization that simply helps to develop leaders from the inside out. And we do there with workshops, conferences, webinars, speaking engagements, and even platforms like Women Leaders Walk the Talk. And so to stay in tune with us, go to the Grady Leadership on any platform, Facebook, LinkedIn. What else did I mention? What else did we say tonight? IG. I'm on IG. Yes, and then Spotify, absolutely. And thank you for saying that, because if you want to watch the replay, maybe you didn't get to sit in with us tonight. I know you hear me loud and clear, or maybe you want to go back because there was so much good stuff. Go check us out on Spotify, or you can definitely come back to Facebook or the website. So the website is www.thegreateryouleadership.com. And so with that, thank you all for joining. You all could have been doing anything. Thank you for the engagement in the chat.
Yes.
As always, as like I always like to say, let's lead. All right. Y'all have a
All
good one.
right. Thank you.